Welcome to the Performance Enhancing Podcast. It's like steroids for your brain. A podcast for people that want the best info, but just don't have the time. Get your podcast fix with the Cliff Notes versions of your favorite podcasts. No fluff, just the actionable golden nuggets. Having this much knowledge at your fingertips should be downright illegal. So get ready for another dose of Performance Enhancing Podcast with Satori Prime. Here's your host, Ilan Ferdman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Performance Enhancing Podcast with your host, Ilan Ferdman. So if you haven't signed up to our PEP list to receive a recap email about this week's shows, make sure you head over to performancepodcasts.com. That's podcasts with an S at the end of it. So make sure you remember that. You can even pick up 6 hours of subliminal training when you sign up. That basically means now you can work on things like speed reading, memory, and even how to be more decisive through subliminal messaging just by listening. So make sure you do that. Also, if you haven't yet subscribed to our show via iTunes, you can also do that at performancepodcasts.com/iTunes. Or if you prefer to use Stitcher, you can do the same thing at performancepodcast.com/Stitcher. And remember, we have new episodes coming out every Monday and Thursday morning, so you can grab those then. Lastly, if you want to keep up with everything that we do at Satori Prime, you can always head over to our main site, satoriprime.com, and roam around. We have a ton of free content that we constantly update. And if any of you are looking for some mentorship around your marketing efforts, and I'm talking specifically about Facebook paid marketing on how you can use that to double, triple, or even quadruple your business, then we do actually have a couple of masterminds we run that can absolutely transform your marketing efforts in less than 90 days. So you can check those out by applying to see if you're a fit for one of them at satoriprime.com/mastermind. And with that, let's kick off today's show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Performance Enhancing Podcast with your host, Ilan Ferdman. Today, we have a very, very special guest, not only because he is a wizard when it comes to everything associated with health, and I figured towards the end of the year, going into the new year, where everyone is all about, I'm going to be more healthy this year. I'm going to treat my body like a temple, all that good stuff. I'm going to actually share with you the information directly from the source on how you can actually make that a reality. But aside from that, this is my actual functional medicine doctor. His name is Dr. Anthony G. Beck. Now, like I said, Dr. Beck practices a model of medicine called functional medicine, which basically says it deals primarily with prevention and the underlying causes of disease instead of treating symptoms of diseases. And we're going to talk a lot about that. His programs are designed around an assessment of your specific bodily system, and then look at the interrelationship as well as the emphasis on patient care versus disease care. And again, we'll talk about that. Look, this is the motto of Dr. Beck. He believes that at the end of the day, you are the only person who can make you healthy. And there's nothing more fundamental to a happy, fulfilled, and productive life than you owning your own life and your own health. So rather than me try to talk about health and fitness and what I've been doing, I figured why not bring the guy that's actually helped me become the healthiest person I've ever become in 2014 and going forward. So before we get started, I just want to let you know that this episode is slightly longer than traditionally episodes are on the Performance Enhancing Podcast for a couple of reasons. One, we were in a flow and I just couldn't kind of cut it anywhere before. So this particular part one is a little bit longer. Two, the interview in general was a little bit longer. And three, I had a really special 100th episode ready for you. And I didn't want to split this up into 3 parts because I wanted the 100th episode to be the one that was already created. So for all of those reasons, this one's a little bit longer, but I'm sure you are just going to be absolutely blown away by the information that you're about to receive. So without further ado, here is my interview with the one and only Dr. Anthony G. Beck. All right, guys. So again, super, super excited to be here with Dr. Beck, both because A, he's a freaking genius when it comes to anything having to do with your health and well-being. But B, he's actually my doctor, and I've been working with him. And I was just telling him I did this trip to Mexico, and I was trying to explain to people what I was working with Dr. Beck on, and people's eyes just kind of lit up. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring him on and let him actually explain the process and what we've gone through, because you're going to explain it way better than I ever can. So first of all, welcome, Dr. Anthony Beck.
Hey, man. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. It's always good to hang out with you guys. Love it.
Yeah. So here's the deal.
That's good. You don't have any scars to your face, and you still have all your hair. It's not
No, it's all good. It's all good.
No Montezuma's Revenge, right? Nothing coming up.
No, I survived. My brother, on the other hand, not so much. He decided he could brush his teeth, but he wasn't swallowing the water, and found out the unpleasant way that does not make a difference.
I wonder why I haven't heard from him yet. All right, cool. That's fine.
So, guys, here's the deal. Like, you're going to hear some stuff today that's going to ruffle some feathers. You're going to hear things today from Dr. Beck that are going to challenge your beliefs. And here's what I realized about Dr. Beck. And we'll talk about the process of how you got to be the genius around this that you are.
Okay.
But the level to which he can explain things to you is beyond anything I've ever heard. So even if you don't understand some things, I want to keep you in the conversation, understand what you understand, and realize that there's always a continuation. We'll explain to you how you can reach out to Dr. Beck afterwards and continue the conversation on your own for more personal things, but just stay with it. So with that, I met you a little while ago. We actually did a podcast on nootropics for those that listen to the podcast here regularly. And then afterwards, I came to you and I was like, look, I'm in pretty good peak physical condition, but I'm taking these nootropics. I want to figure out what's happening inside of my body. And that's when we started having the conversation. So explain to people, when someone comes to you, what is the main focus? What is your intention of working with someone that's so different than everybody else that I've ever heard?
Well, you said it, and that's the actual word, is the focus. The difference is, right off the top, is that not to be, all poetic and stuff, but my field is called functional medicine. So I've been practicing functional medicine now for over 20 years. I've had tens of thousands of patient encounters, and my patients have been my greatest professors. They have taught me the real dang deal. And the reason is because that's the focus, is them. When I work with somebody, it's so important for me to know who they are, right? It's that being and embracing yourself as a category of one. Look, we can give all kinds of recommendations, right? The internet is replete with what I deem the noise and confusion.
Yeah.
I mean, on every topic, I really don't even have to give examples, especially when it comes to nutrition and dietary and things like this.
And it changes every month. It's like, eggs are good, eggs are bad, egg whites. It's like, how do you even know what to follow?
Yeah, and everybody's leveraging science, right? So they'll say science has shown, or clinical studies have shown, or things are linked. Oh, that's a secret word. If they're linked, okay. Well, I'm a country boy from North Carolina, so I'm linked to biscuits and gravy, okay. Right? But at the end of the day, I don't eat it every doggone morning for breakfast. So my point is that they all forget this one point, and this is it. They all omit self. They don't know you. They don't know me. They don't know my patient. They don't know where you come from, what your biochemical individuality is. They don't know what your genetics are. They don't know where you grew up, what your environmental inputs are, what your level of stress is, what your level of support, how hard you drive yourself. None of that. All they are is a much speaking about things, right? But it's like, putting me in a NASCAR. Listen, I couldn't drive that thing.
Yep.
I could get it around, but I'd probably bang it up against the wall at 160, right? But you can take a different person, have the exact same environment, same tool, and they'll rock it. So it's the same thing when it comes to me and people. You have to know the patient. The focus must be on you. So that's the first thing. And so then that sets in play my edict is that I work for my patients. Sure, I'm a lab coat and stethoscope, right? But at the end of the day, they're my boss, right? The next thing is I don't practice a model of medicine that gives them 7.6 minutes after they scheduled some doggone appointment weeks or months in advance. You get there and you still wait in the lobby. Then they give you a little paper gown, and then they ear, nose, and throat you, and you get to talk about one thing. And it doesn't matter what you talk about; they already start writing.
Yep.
Before you even say, and all you're going to get is that little white slip of paper, and then you go take that down to your neighborhood pharmacy in exchange for something that masks what you just told me you were complaining about. That's really medicine in a nutshell. That's it, guys. It's in a nutshell.
So real, I'm in a nutshell.
That's really what it is.
When you say functional medicine, because that's a term that probably people have never really heard of, what does that mean? Functional medicine.
Functional medicine is a personalized medicine that is applied through a systems biology. So basically, there's a few principles, and some of them I kind of shared already. Is that, number one, that health is a positive vitality, not just an absence of disease. Right? Some people just kind of, I'm getting through life. Screw that, man. I want to be prime. I want to be rocking and rolling. Right? And so the next thing is that there's a web-like interconnectivity between all systems. Okay. See, what I always say, and I'm writing this in my book, is that specialists killed the business. You got all these different board-certified years of clinical practice specialists that you got one for your heart, you got one for your genitals, you got one for your liver, one for your skin, one for your brain. You got a dude for every part of you. But guess what? None of them talk. They don't.
Yeah.
I even know surgeons that only operate on the left side of the table. They don't do right-sided work. Okay, so you're dissected in all these pieces, and you have drugs and therapies just specific to that system. Functional medicine is an umbrella for all of those, and focuses on a chronic disease resolution model. See, in the U.S., and I don't know where your audience is, but here in the U.S., and actually the whole world really is, an acute care model. It doesn't matter if you've had migraines for a week, a month, or a year, you're going to get treated the exact same way. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. Doesn't mean if you're up north or not. They're not concerned of what you eat, what your biomarkers are of nutrition. They don't care about your hormones. They're going to treat the migraines, not the person.
Yeah.
And they're going to treat it acutely. No matter what you go in for, you're always going to get the same thing as everybody else acutely. So listen, we're number one in the world when it comes to, you get a heart attack, you break a bone, you have a stroke, a laceration, you need to have your life sustained. Oh my God, don't come to me. My arm is falling off. No, that's acute care, and we're the best ever. I mean, hands down. But chronic care, we fail miserably. It's abysmal.
Yeah.
So if we're talking fatigue, allergies, migraines, rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, or I call it diabesity, hypertension, any of these things that are long latent chronic disease, they don't know what the hell to do.
Yeah. And I remember when I first spoke to you, one of the first things that resonated so much, you used this analogy with the engine and like how things run in the body.
Yeah.
But you pointed out to me in a very simple fact, like if I went to my doctor and I get a blood panel, right? Like I check my blood, let's say once a year, twice a year, whatever, the doctor recommends.
Right.
And they'll say like, hey, Ilan, you're low in B12. And their only solution, very much like you said, is go take B12 supplements.
Right.
Which is like how every doctor prescribes. It's like, oh, this is your iron's low, go take iron. And you said something to me that really just kind of opened my eyes. And I would love for you to share it again. The analogy of the car, it's like if things aren't working because you're deficient in B12, adding more B12 isn't solving that issue. So can you just share that? Because that to me was like, that was my aha moment of like, I need to work with this guy.
Cool. Well, and that's just it. See, now that's acute care, right? It'd be the same example as hey, listen, I'm out of money. Can you give me a loan? Here's some money, right? Well, you got to ask, didn't you come back last week and need some money?
Yeah.
Well, are you building a business and you need to sustain that? Or are you doing some drugs? Did you get robbed? We need to figure out what brought you back to this point again. You're sure that's in the thing. And you can get the money, right? But who'd you get the money from?
Yeah.
Did you get it from a bookie with 40% interest? And if you don't pay it back, you get your legs broken. Did you get it from mom? Oh man, if you got it from your parents, that interest rate sucks. Did you get it from your buddy who's always going to be leveraging for? Remember that time I gave you that $20?
Yeah.
Everything has a different return rate. So same thing like with, let's say, B12. The thing is if you could take a look at your blood, which most docs do acutely, they're treating the lab. They're not treating you. Why? Because they don't know your story. they're not trained to ask why. They practice what medicine. They don't practice why medicine. I practice why. I don't know, why are you deficient in B12? Are you not consuming it, right? Supply side economics. Demand side economics, right? Are you using more of it? Then it comes down to, B12 deficiency, well, the body gets B12 from its food, but it's highly microbial dependent. It really depends upon what's going on in your gut microbes, right? They're the ones that does all the work. Were you ever under surgery or anesthesia recently? It absolutely neutralizes B12. Boom. So if you went under just, because you tore because you're trying to get big, you ruptured your tendon, and you go and you get some surgery, right? And then 8 months later, you're having some neurological problems. And they're not going to think that, it could be B12 deficiency brought on by anesthesia, right? Anesthesia literally does, right? So I go back in that person's story. So I want to know, why medicine? Why are you B12 deficient? And hey, maybe last week I saw another patient, or a year ago another patient. That doesn't make them the same reason. They might end up being the same reason, but that's it. And then the next thing is, so then blood work. People oftentimes think that all docs do the same blood work. I get this a lot. People go, well, I had a bunch of blood work and nothing was wrong. Oh, they checked my thyroid and nothing was, everything was normal. It doesn't work like that. That's like me checking your car by getting in it and turning the engine on. I'll say, oh, yep, runs, or it doesn't run, and go, oh, it's the battery. Just go get another battery.
Yeah.
And you come back, no, it wasn't that. So my point is, you got to look at B12 in a different fashion, just as an example. Just because it's floating around in the blood doesn't mean it's doing its job. It's kind of like I think the example I gave you is the car. Like you can say, oh, I'm going to weigh the car. Oh, and this car, make and model, should be about 4,000 pounds with a full tank of gas. And you weigh it and you go, yep, it's not out of gas. The gas is in containers sitting in the back seat. So it's there, it's part of the weight, but it's not where the body can access it.
Yeah. A
lot of nutrients are like that. A lot of hormones are like that. So the correct test in particular for B12 is an organic acid we call methylmalonic acid. That's the residue of the after product of the biopathways that we know that B12 will produce X amount of this chemical, not too little, not too much, if it's using it right. I'm all about the function, right? Some people are all about that base. I'm all about the function, and we got to be. You get a little taste of my brevity. I want people to have fun with it and realize that, man, I just get stuffy medicine. I just go in, lab goes stethoscope, and I come out 8 minutes later, and I get a little slip of paper. And you think we automatically, just because they're a doctor, because I'm a different type of doctor, right? Yeah. So everybody thinks that MDs are the only way. Well, they have zero training in nutrition. So if you ever see a commercial that says, "Ask your doctor before you want to die or you want to miss something,"
go ask your doctor.
If I want to know if why my electrical is not working, I'm not going to ask a plumber. They're in the same walls, but no, I'm going to ask an electrician.
Yeah.
Okay. So same kind of thing. They they do labs based upon their dogma. It's actually called central dogma. We're taught that in medical school, right? That you're just a ticking time bomb of genes and there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
Wow. So
they're not interested in that. So they don't want to know the why. They're just interested in the what. They want to quickly truncate it down to what I call a session of the name it, blame it, tame it game.
Yeah.
They want to give it a diagnosis that you can go, oh, now I know what it is. It's fibromyalgia. And so then people start referring to it in the first person, like it's my fibromyalgia, or it's my allergies. Oh, it's my migraine.
Yeah.
Well, you got a picture of it? I mean, is it like in the family photo? They take ownership of it, and I'm like, so then they name it, and then now they get to blame it on something. And oftentimes, mass majority of the time, and people will probably resonate with this, they ask you, oh, did somebody else in your family have this? And as soon as they go, oh, that's it. It's because it's in the family.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. I'm not my dad, right? I mean, he grew up in the hills of West Virginia, right? And it's just so different. I mean, his life has not been my life. You're not around the same environment. We don't necessarily eat the same. You might, based upon how your family eats. All kinds of exposures. That's my point. So they truncate it down to that. Then they blame it, and then they tame it. Then at the end of the day, how are they going to treat the disease? I don't treat diseases. I treat people.
Yeah.
I support systems. So if somebody like you comes into me and has a diagnosis of erectile dysfunction, heaven forbid, right? To treat that, I'm going to give you Viagra, Levitra, right? Cialis, whatever the thing is for the day. And if that doesn't work, we'll give you these little, shots in your penis, right? Some Triject. I mean, all kinds of cool stuff, right?
Wow, didn't even know that shit existed.
Blam. No one wants to talk about it. Dudes, we got to talk about it. All right. So, but again, it's like, well, why doesn't the penis work?
Yeah.
There's a big difference between an erection or then ejaculation. There's totally different things. I want to know why. It could be a nutritional deficiency, B12, right? Matter of fact, nitrous oxide, different amino acids like arginine, things that go along with that. You could have problems in your blood sugar, right? I mean, it could be stress. It could be microbes. Right? It could be allergens. It could be toxins. There's a variety of things that it can be. And until we quest to find out how it was manifesting for you that you've got this symptom, you'll never get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. I remember you said something. Yeah. I remember you said something really interesting where you said, like, if my body was a V8 engine, just because the engine was running doesn't necessarily mean, like, if the first 4 cylinders aren't operating properly, by the time that gets into the second chamber and the second 4, just because it's operating, and if the first section wasn't operating properly, the second one couldn't possibly operate well. Optimally. And I love when you showed me, we sat there, and by the way, guys, I think I was on Skype with you for like almost 2 hours reviewing my report. And he's like, remember you said, you're like, so here's a deficiency, and this is what a doctor would tell you. And then you're like, but all I'm looking for is clues. And then we kind of went deeper in the cycle and deeper in the cycle and deeper in the cycle till eventually a diagnosis was there. And then the next piece of it, which was even more kind of astounding, because I was waiting for the, now here's a list of 97 pills that you need to take now to heal yourself. And you're completely on the opposite side of it. You're like diet, food, nutrition, good food, etc. So talk a little bit about not even the why, but like how important nutrition is and what we put in our bodies. Because you honestly, Dr. Beck altered my diet. And the funny part is within 2-3 weeks of that change, I physically started feeling different. And I'm telling you guys, I'm a healthy eater. Like, I do not put shit in my body, but now literally every single thing I put in my body, from the peanut butter that I eat to the nuts that I eat, to any supplement that I even think about putting in my body, Dr. Beck knows about it before it ever goes into my system.
Yeah, and see, that's just it. Like, one of the tests you're referring to is an organic acids test I do, where we actually look at all the metabolites of the entire Krebs cycle, citric acid cycle. What actually physically happens inside the mitochondria. Like, for instance, people you weren't necessarily talking about, but they might express as fatigue or different things. If the energy producers organelle, if you go back to biology, you remember the mighty mitochondria, the little thing looks like a corrugated cardboard little football kind of deal. Chemistry happens in there. Biology occurs. And we can look deep in there and see what's going on. Because today, everybody's going to tell you how to eat the way they eat,
yes,
or how you should eat, with no information of self.
Yes.
People go, what do you think about keto? And I go, that's like asking me what I think about Star Wars. Well, right? If it's Empire Strike Back, you're right. But Return of the Jedi sucks. So, so the thing is, they ask these. Well, what about vegan or vegetarian? People want to know what's healthier. What's healthy amount of water? What's I don't know, man. You're you. You are a unique individual. We can give guidelines. Yeah, you shouldn't be outside eating dirt out of your garden. I mean, come on, right? And you shouldn't be. I don't know anybody that should have a 12-pack of beer a day.
Yeah.
Some people can do it and get away with it. George Burns smoked 10 cigars a day and lived to be 100. I couldn't do it. All right.
Yep.
So my point is, food is medicine. It has got a bad rap. The vast majority of people, they ask themselves, how often do I eat at home with infinite knowledge of what's actually in that food?
Yeah.
Not too many people do anymore. See, I'm Southern. That's what we do. I mean, I love me some food, right? I was actually a chef for 12 years when I put myself through medical school. So I really have a love affair with food, but I know that food is medicine. You have to start there. Listen, I recommend supplementation. I recommend pharmaceutical medication. I'm not an anti-drug guy at all.
Yeah.
Just, you have to know the terrain. You got to know. If you're a climber, you don't pack the same if you're doing Everest, if you're doing, Kilimanjaro. It's everybody's different. Same thing in business. It depends upon what your business is, how you approach and pull, who you're going to talk to on Facebook and how you're going to interact with who you're going to talk to. You need to know if across the negotiating table, if this person, more of passive aggressive, or they like dominant, or they're engineer type thinking. I need to know how your body is. And so we look at the chemicals specific to you, and then I'll be able to tell you, do you need more animal protein or less animal protein? Do we need more foods that have these nutrients in them than that? And we dial it in. I'm not going to do it blindly of just like, okay, for your blood type, or it's got to be high fat or low carb and no, and all that. Everybody, all these guys from McDougall to Ferdman to Ornish, they all have a way of telling everybody this is how they eat. I say, I don't know. I'm going to test your biomarkers. I'll look at your genetics. I'll look at your genes. I'll look at your biomarkers. I'll take them in consideration of your hormones and what you are capable of doing. If you live in New York, it's going to be different than if you're in Miami.
Yeah.
It's going to be different in California, Oklahoma. It's the person, but no one does that. They'll all give you all kinds of free books and cookbooks on how to eat that dogma. And I go, I don't have a dogma. And it changes. It's not static. What I teach people is what I call my balance protocol. Balance protocol is a framework to operate, to literally a GPS to navigate your specific terrain to find out for you, should you have this or not have that. And it includes testing all the way to find out, because listen, I'll do testing and people will find out, they're allergic to avocado and they had no idea they have an inflammatory response of their lymphocyte. But avocado is healthy fat and it's paleo. Well, not for you at this time. Happens all the time. So in the absence of personalized clinical data, I can never prescribe a diet for someone. In your particular case, I looked at what you're testing, and I recognize patterns because, of course, you tend to do things that are kind of like on the cutting edge, or we're both biohackers and stuff like that. I'm going to go, intermittent fasting, or eat some collagen, or I'm going to do bone broths and different things like that. Well, your poop, your pee, your blood, your saliva now gets a voice for both of us. And then it will tell us, it's like that friend that, hey, I made you cookies. And you're like, gosh, you brought me these last year and they suck. I didn't want to tell you. Right? Your body's the same way. It's like, damn, why does he keep giving me colostrum? That stuff is jacking me up. But the colostrum is great for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Same thing when it comes to intermittent fasting, right? You hear about all that fantastic stuff, and I see how it jacks people's biomarkers up. Same thing with things, all kinds of stuff from like alkaline water to nutritional yeast to creatine to all kinds of things. We can supplement and do things, but if someone isn't at least encouraging you to get personalized clinical data, okay, then you're just it's shotgun approach. So that's it. So yeah, we look deep inside and we kind of go, some of these, the suck, squeeze, bang, and blow engine for you, it's getting you're getting down the road back and forth, but you're spitting out a lot of black soot.
Exactly. I mean, for me,
get pulled over by the cops, right? But it will catch up to you.
For me, it was really interesting, and like I said, I eat really healthy, and I'm really in tune with my body and how I feel, and when I'm tired and not tired, and foods that make me groggy. Like, I'm really in tune with that stuff.
You're like,
and I was
like me.
Yeah, when we met, I was intermittent fasting, and I gave Dr. Beck my entire protocol, what I put in my body, etc. And flat out, like, one of the first things he said, he's like, "You're not a candidate for intermittent fasting." And I'm telling you guys, like, I felt fucking awesome. I was just like every one of those other assholes out there screaming from the rooftop. You've met every single one of these. Paleo is my favorite. Everyone that's on paleo, like, oh my God, paleo is the best. It's just paleo. You should just, it's like but honestly, I did it because that was my base knowledge. Like, I knew I'd felt better when I started doing that than what I felt before. And Dr. Beck was like, no good for you.
And not for you.
Not for me. Personally, for me. Now, I'm not saying for other people that's not, but personally for me, not.
Sometimes that paleo thing is absolutely proven. And it's not just based upon your blood type or
exactly
your astrological sign, or whether you don't want to suffocate fish or shoot bolts into cows' heads. Listen, I get all that. I'm not politically correct, y'all. I'm omnivore, okay?
Another reason I love them.
Right. But here's the deal, though. But I can't eat all the damn bacon that I want. I'm sorry. It has an effect on me. Yeah. I know where I'm at. You got to get like us and get in tune with it. Most people, they just want you to tell them how to do it. Some people want, okay, give me the basics. I'll do it. There's some people that at the top of the different levels of the pyramid, just do it for me. Or, hey, teach me along the way as we go. Everybody's different. So that's how dietary things, we have to take that in consideration. Because you'll hear like intermittent fasting, for instance, we're picking on that. Oh, it studies show that it expands life and grow lengthens your telomeres and stimulates lymphocytic growth and stem cells go up and okay. Well, a lot of that is in mice. Number two, right? That's great. I mean, so whenever they quote science, always try to match yourself to the subject, right?
Yeah.
Oh, all these great things. Oh, they were rats. Well, last time I checked, we're not rats. But not that I'm against lab rats using stuff, but my point is at least people are being lab rats. At least they're trying. Yeah. That's one of the things I always like to congratulate is the quest. Is okay. The N equals 1. Then we want to. Hey, let me try intermittent fasting. See how I do. But be willing. And see, this is the problem with males, dudes, not being patronizing. But we want to do something. Once something we know we're stable, we don't change. We're using the same cologne and deodorant that we've been using since we were 18. Women. It's whatever's on sale at Neiman Marcus or the spray lady gets them. They just have no brand loyalty. So dudes, we're like, once we get it and that works for us, we're going to stick to it. But then when it stops working, we're pit bulls. We don't know when to let go of the rope, that we've been gnawing on it. And okay, maybe it's different because life isn't static. We age and we have an accumulation of environmental inputs and things that affect us. So with intermittent fasting, it has its place. For sure. But as an ongoing thing, year round for everybody, it's not sustainable. Neither is paleo for the vast majority of people. Neither is vegan. I'm going to tell you, it's a sliding scale. You have to know when to bob and weave when the terrain changes. What is the terrain? What's going on in your life? Your stress level, the holiday, what I refer to as environmental inputs, right? Because it's like they start the candy season. It starts in October. So October all the way through, February, it's hell. We call that flu season. It's not some damn commie bug invasion every year of some stupid H1N1 to get a shot for that. No, it's your dumbass. It's you and all the stuff that you do, and you're not outside. It gets cold. Your vitamin D levels go down. You're hitting it with sugar. You're getting immunocompromised, and you wonder why bugs get you. Well, it's because muggers are only going to attack a viable target. I know some dudes that are isn't it funny that they never get mugged? All right. So that's the thing. People have to start looking from a different prism. I'm a different person. It's like the old, Saturday Night Live, the Stuart Smiley. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, doggone it, people like me. And you have to do that. Don't subjugate your power of attorney to a medical community that you just instantly let them inject in you, give you prescribed pills, and you don't know what it is or how it applies to you. How the hell are you going to take something that has all kinds of side effects? Most people don't even read the monographs. After a 7.6-minute conversation with a dude who's going to bill your insurance.
Yeah, and that's all he cares about anyway.
When did that happen? Now, they're not evil. Listen, they went into medical school not just because doctors can make money and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm not being nefarious like that, but I'm just simply saying, recognize that the model's broken. It doesn't work. We know what we get. Disease rates are not going down. Cancer's not going down. Heart disease, even though we're all kinds of different ribbons for it and throw millions of dollars at it and get mad at, whoever the emperor is in the White House, giving it more money. I mean, I'll be damned. People have to just opt out of all of that and come back and say, listen, give yourself the shake and say, dude, it's you. Yeah. You are the focus. And remember that you're the boss. And the only way that you'll ever have, we talk about optimal health, it's only come from you. No one's going to tell you how to do it. No one just gives you a degree because you sat around for 4+ years interested in the topic. No, you have to go, oh crap, I got to write a paper. I got to study for the test. Oh my God, I got to do this capstone project. Oh my God, you mean I got to go dissect something? I got to learn this. No, you have to earn it. Well, don't think that you're just going to be given health because you're now drinking bone broth and putting butter in your coffee and you're intermittent fasting and you've got some electromagnetic mat underneath your mattress and you're now, juicing in the morning. It doesn't work like that. Your body is way more complicated.
Yeah,
right?
it was interesting. I had a conversation with Guy when we had first met you, and Guy's my brother, and Guy has this great line. He goes, look, you're going to pay for your health either on the way in or on the way out. But at some point, you're going to pay. And I think for a lot of people, we don't treat our bodies as well as we should. And all of a sudden, things start falling apart. And now we are going to doctors and we are paying for, medical procedures and shit like that, which when you think about it, if you actually just take care of yourself in the beginning and do the right things, then you're going to offset all of that stuff down the road. So you're going to pay for it one way or the other. And one of the things that I learned from you, which I was taking vitamins and I was taking supplements and I was doing the things because I was interested and I was reading online and what's good for you and what you should take and again, testing stuff out, certain things helped, certain things didn't. Testing stuff out. But I remember we had a conversation when it came to supplementation about vitamins. And the one that stuck to me more than anything, because I was buying stuff from Puritan Pride and these kind of cheap vitamin places, right? And thinking that I was way better than other people because I'm at least supplementing and taking all the stuff that everyone told me to take, right? But you shared a story with me about vitamin D. And what it actually goes into making it versus the supplements that you help create and all that stuff. And I remember just being like, wait, what? That's the shit that I've been putting in my body? Can you just say a little bit, because you're a master, you actually create your own supplements at the highest medical level. So can you just share vitamin D and maybe some other funny story about what people are actually putting in their bodies that they think is healthy?
Definitely. And see, here, and that's just it. Practicing over the years, I recognize that food is medicine, but sometimes we need to supplement, right? I have a job, right? But sometimes I got to moonlight. You're a poor college student. You got to go wait tables and bartend. There ain't no shame in the game. Okay, you got to do what you got to do. So supplement will do it. Listen, I've had patients that worked in the printing industry, right? And they're around all them damn chemicals. But you're having reactions. Well, okay, but now we're going to really need you to eat more green leafy vegetables and support methylation and detox and get probiotics in your gut to make sure that they can break these things down and love your liver a little bit more. So we're going to have to supplement that, with some things like that while you still maintain this job. It's not like everybody's just going to just quit based on my recognition. It does happen though. I've had people just, but listen, at the end of the day, we don't always have that. So yeah, you can do a lot of research and you can be an embodiment of, hey, I'm doing a lot of things right. And we'll do that compare and contrast. Well, it's the rationalization, the marginalization of it's not like my brother, or it's not like my neighbor, or I'm a lot better than I used to be. I understand the sting of accountability. It sucks when somebody goes, yeah, listen, you've been, buying me that ugly Christmas sweater every daggum year, but now I'm finally telling you. And oh, well, I didn't know you didn't like it. Why didn't you say something? So same kind of thing. Your body doesn't have the ability to do it. Well, most of the time it does. You just don't listen to it because you have an agenda. So then we try to supplement. Oh my gosh, this country loves pills, potions, and powders. I mean, it's everywhere. I think what's the number now? It's $64 billion a year here in the U.S. It's a big number.
Wow.
Billion, right? And I actually did some research because I'm actually getting ready to do a nice piece on this for my Facebook group, Balance Nation Facebook group. From the Centers for Responsible Nutrition. They looked at where people are actually buying their supplements, what their average income is, education, gender. They did a full piece, which is really awesome, which we need for when we're targeting advertising and stuff. So then what ends up happening is people go, oh, well, Dr. Beck, here it is. You sell supplements. Well, yeah. Why? Well, because I want to give what's missing. That's my job. Well, of course, if I invest millions of dollars in putting something together, I'm going to want to make a profit off it. I'm not an apologetic capitalist at all. So, but then when it comes down to it, there's a lot of different levels of scruples out there too. Not everybody's fried chicken is the same, right? But you say, hey, what did I eat? Fried chicken. Okay, well, was it your mama's? Did you make it? Did you white lily flour? Was it Popeyes or was it KFC? Just because it's fried chicken doesn't describe everything that's in the ingredients.
Yeah.
Same thing when it comes to supplements. I recently did a little video post because my wife asked me about this bodybuilder lady who has oh my God, like 6 million likes on Facebook. I don't know if they're legit or not, but gorgeous, right? I mean, it's like, it's like a, right. Well, a little manly for me because she's all ripped, but
you're like, honey, I'm going to need you to do a little bit more research.
Yeah, let me look. So I looked into that. And so I did a post called Bodybuilders May Be Dangerous for Your Health. Well, because I was a chef and a personal trainer. My undergrad, studies at Old Dominion University was, sports medicine, exercise physiology. So I really love the body and nutrition. So I'm very aware of bro science, bodybuilder.com and Live Strong and all the fun stuff. Okay, remember, that's a lot of talking about stuff, but not a single one of those people knows your genetics or your biomarkers or anything about how you live your life. It's information, but you can't apply it to you all the time. So the thing is that she showed me this vitamin from Jamie Eason or whatever. She's a and stuff like that, just gorgeous, things like that. She came out with her line of supplements at labrada.com. So anyhow, I looked at the ingredients and I looked at what's in it, and then I looked at what also is in it. So it was garbage. In my opinion, it was absolute. It's just, I call it the Inquirer effect. It's just crap. And it's for her. So it's a female vitamin because they put a little bit of Agnus cassis or chase tree berries in it and some red clover, right? Well, the thing is see, those are herbs. They're not vitamins. Herbs are medicine too, just like food is. You should only take herbs acutely and for short periods of time. There's not a single herb that you should take all the time, year round, year after year. Not one.
Wow.
Not one. Okay? I don't care if it's echinacea. I don't care if it's ginseng. Right? Ancient cultures who mix that stuff. I'm also a doctor of Oriental medicine. So believe me, I know herbs. And no, you don't take them all the time. Your body doesn't work like that. Now, I'm not talking about spirulina or chlorella or wheatgrass. That's food. It's not an herb. Okay. So my point is that just because what's in a bottle doesn't necessarily mean it is the same. So I talk about, when I'm talking about supplementation, the 5 guidelines. So it's source, form, dose, frequency, and duration. Big difference, right? So the source, you can get a molecule like, say, vitamin D from all kinds of places. Right? It's just like we can get estrogen from pregnant horse piss, or we can get it from soybeans.
Wow.
Okay? We can get hormones from other animals like progesterone, or we can get it from a wild Mexican yam, Discaria villosa. Do you think those molecules are going to be the same? Absolutely not. So we move them in the lab and we make what we call bioidentical hormones. So they look just like the whatever, but the ones from a horse, it's the molecule, but it's got this extra little piece. Well, what is that like? That's like, oh, here's your salad, but an extra little rat poop. Right? So don't disregard that little piece. So, like, for instance, what they do is you look at the overall price, and I can tell you roughly, I'm not like a crystal ball on it, that to get like a price tag of like a multi for like $25 or $30, you can't use good nutrients in there from good sources. Vitamin D can come from fish manufacture, which is most of it comes from Asia and China, and they irradiate it. So they mess with the molecule with microwave. Okay. It can, not saying it always does, it has the potential to alter that lipid. Okay. So I don't recommend putting that in there. Matter of fact, but there's also vendors from China that will give you a certificate of non-irradiation, which Labrada ended up giving me theirs. Of course, it was 8 years old. I was like, really? So that's why I said in the video that it actually could be that quality. I don't know that it is, but it could. Or you can get it from lanolin, right? So like sheep's wool, we can harvest the wool, we can process it, clean it, and then we can actually take those lipids, expose them to UV light, and then now have vitamin D that we can put into a supplement. Which one do you think is more labor intensive? These big massive ships like on Sea Shepherd and stuff like that, and deadliest catch fish and pumping out and give you that? Yeah, that's why you can get that vitamin D for $6.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's a difference in the source. The source does transcribe over to the human body how it's going to respond to it. And that's the same way it is with every nutrient, whether it be vitamin A, C, any of the Bs, any of the minerals. It's the first and last name of the supplement. It does make a difference. How do I know that? Not just because of philosophy, because I've done tens of thousands of patient labs, and I've grown their lymphocytes in co-culture in the presence and absence of these nutrients. And I know firsthand, I don't need a clinical study that tells me. It's not anecdotal to me. I don't need to read a study with N equals 34 when I've got N equals 5,000. So my thing is that's the difference, is the nutrients on the label. It might say vitamin D. Don't think it's the same thing as from Puritan's Pride to, like, say, my line called Helion Nutraceuticals. It's not the same.
Yeah.
We call it vitamin D because it is vitamin D, but the source matters. Then we talk about the form, right? So you got to know the first and last name, like B1, right? So if something is like, thiamine, was it thiamine hydrochloride? Well, they get that from coal tar, literally a petroleum product. Or you can get the same molecule, you can get B1 from rice bran, corn dextrose. So you can get it from grains, or you can get it from sludge. You can get it from petroleum. Either one will make the molecule. But it's the last name that matters. Is it mononitrate or hydrochloride, or is it the active form that the body uses called pyrophosphate, right? So it's all things aren't created equal. I know people love supplementation. I do too. But again, it's a supplement. I base it upon busting somebody's head and evaluating their diet based upon questionnaire and what they tell me. Then I back it up with biomarkers. Then I run it through their epigenetics and the thing that's going on with that, what they're able to do, what their skill set is to be able to cook or not, what do they have access to, and then we determine. Do a lot of people have very common threads? Well, sure. I'm going to put all patients on a multi and fish oils and a short course of probiotics for a while and a superfood. Sure, that's it. Okay, but when it comes to all the other performance enhancing things, how do people think that they're going to enhance performance if they haven't even quantified self?
Yeah.
What do you, right? So not all supplements are created equal. And I created a line because it was missing in the market. I really did.
So you're getting a sense of why I absolutely love this guy, why he is my chosen functional medicine doctor, and why I trust him wholeheartedly. There is seriously no one that I've ever met, and I've spoken to a lot of people who are gifted in health and fitness, that can take it to the level that Dr. Beck can. If nothing else, you just take away this whole thing that we just wrapped up about vitamins, and that what you buy, right? Again, it's like everything else in life. You get what you pay for. But knowing that, for example, vitamin D is microwaved fish gunk versus cheap lanolin that's just been exposed to UV rays from the sun, that's a very different process. Obviously, one would be much more cost intensive. That's why it costs much more. But if you're already spending the time and money to put that stuff in your body, you may as well actually put good stuff in your body. So we'll wrap up part one here. Again, make sure to come back for part two, because in part two, we're just going to keep delving deeper. We're going to look at what certain markers mean. We're going to look at what ailments can actually be cured. We're going to talk about why food is so monumentally important and why you can't just use supplements like we just discussed to stop or conceal certain ailments in your body. You really need to do the entire process. So I know some of this stuff is very scientific and kind of a little bit over some of our heads, but it's really important and needed to be said. And I'm really happy that Dr. Beck came out here to do that. So with that, we'll wrap up part one, and make sure you come back and check out part two as we sum this entire conversation up. All right? Have an amazing day, everyone.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Performance Enhancing Podcast. We've taken this pep talk and created a custom action guide so you know exactly what action steps to take now to grow your business. Just head over to satoriprime.com/podcast and download it for free. Also, please leave a comment and rate this podcast on iTunes. It'll help us get the word out. Thanks for listening. Now, go and implement. We'll see you next time.
Did you run through doors till you hit the floor? Did you